निरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजाता सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देव श्री राधा कृष्ण पादा सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्वसे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्पातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं देवता। यस्मादहं विगतविप्लव ईश्वरस्य सर्वात्मनामहि गृह्णामि यथा मनीषं नीचो जयो गुणविसर्ग अनुप्रविष्ट भूयेत हि पुमाननुवर्णितेन। Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you for this continuation of our discussion on the Amal Puran Srimad Bhagavatam, which is crushed jewel of all the Vedic literatures, which is non-different than Krishna. So first we try to remember the glories of Bhagavatam as we do always. Sarva Shastrabdhi Piyusha Sarva Vedeka Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavat Prabhu Kalau Dhvantodito Ditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Asadhu Sadhu Tadayin Tini Chochataraka Anamanchakada Chinma Premna Hritkantha Yospura Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So I welcome and congratulate all of you for choosing to study Srimad Bhagavatam. By one of the means is doing this course, and more than that, you are tolerating teacher like me. So just continue, because Bhagavatam is glorious. Whosoever speaks is different thing. So I congratulate all of you for that. Just continue studying Bhagavatam, associate with Krishna in form of this book. So let us continue our discussion. So last time we were discussing till verse number 40 we discussed, right? So son of Drona punished. So the sequence of events was the Vedvyas has seen in Samadhi the entity of this creation, material world, spiritual world, etc. The essence of all scriptures he saw. Then he wrote down, then he taught it to his son, knowing its glory. Then his son also studied, got attracted to Krishna's qualities, which were mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is Atmarama verse. And then the glory of Bhagavatam is that he started discussing with Vaishnavas. He took that difficulty to study Bhagavatam. Person like Sukadeva Goswami. And he became Vishnu Janapriya. Means he started associating with devotees and he liked them. And he discussed Krishna Katha along with them. So that's how that section ended. And the first answer to the first question ended. Second question, which was about Parikshit Maharaj, Janma and Karma. That answer began from verse 12, taking us to the setting of the end of the battle of Kurukshetra. So where the Ashwathama killed the sleeping sons of Draupadi, and then Draupadi was deeply affected. And Arjuna, being Kshatriya, he pacified her by very strong words of, I will bring him and you take bath on his head and etc. And then she was pacified by such words. And then Arjuna goes on to chase Ashwathama. And then we all discussed how Ashwathama, out of fear of his own life, he released Brahmastra. Arjuna sent Brahmastra, retracted both of them. Beautiful prayers of Arjuna before that. Got guidance of Krishna. And then the storyline went ahead. So we saw that how Arjuna did not kill him. So Krishna tested Arjuna by telling him to kill. So just to depict to the entire world, see the glory of discrimination of my devotee. See the sense of justice of my devotee. Even if I am telling him, instructing him something, he knows what is right. So that's what he told Arjuna, you should kill Ashwathama because he is Brahma Bandhu. You should kill him according to Dharma because he is aggressor. You should kill him because you have promised Draupadi. You should kill him because it is better for him. You should kill him because he has not even pleased his own master Duryodhana. So many back-to-back powerful reasons he gave, but they were all testing sense of justice of Arjuna. So that's how we came to the verse 40. So now we'll continue with that verse. So today, Krishna willing, we'll complete this chapter and begin with the next chapter and touch till Kunti Maharani's prayers. Let us see how it goes. Yeah. 40th verse. एवं परीक्षिता धर्मा पार्थ कृष्णेन चोदितः नैदन इच्छन्तु गुरुसुतं यदप्यात्महनं महान्. Yeah, please read the translation.
Although Krishna, Suta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Acharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashwathama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members.
Yeah. So here we see that Krishna is testing Arjuna. So why he is doing, see, Prabhupada tells, then we'll come to the purport of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. This is one of the very important verses actually, which is there. So Arjuna was a great soul undoubtedly, which is proved here also. So how it is proved, we'll see. So please read the second paragraph.
Lord Shri Krishna encouraged Arjuna outwardly just to test Arjuna's sense of duty. It is not that Arjuna was incomplete in the sense of his duty, nor was Lord Shri Krishna unaware of Arjuna's sense of duty. But Lord Krishna puts many of his pure devotees to the test just to magnify their sense of duty. The gopis were put to such tests as well. Prahlad Maharaj was also put to such a test. All pure devotees come out successful in the respective tests by the Lord.
Yeah. So here purpose of Lord testing Arjuna is to magnify his sense of justice. What does that mean? Krishna doesn't want to test Arjuna But Krishna wants to teach the entire human society, no, see my devotee, how he has sense of justice. So this is the point which is made here. A magnified sense of duty means Arjuna was already knowing, but Lord wanted everyone to know Arjuna's sense of justice. So similarly, gopis were tested. When they were tested in the Ras Leela. So Krishna left after, not before leaving, he played flute and they came attracted to him. But after coming, Krishna tested them by telling that you go back now, how you have come here, etc. So gopis were also tested, right? And then Prahlad Maharaj was also put to such test. When he was tested, yes, anyone can say? When Prahlad Maharaj was put to test.
He was thrown from mountains and he was thrown into fire and so many things, but he was always determined to.
Yeah, that is like one test actually. But what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says is that what Prabhupada has taken is, when Narsimhadev asked him, my dear Prahlad Maharaj, I am pleased with you. Please ask for a benediction. So then Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, don't allure me. You know, my blood, there is demonic blood running in my veins. So please don't allure me, my Lord. Only what I request you is, please destroy all my material desires. So that is what is the test of Prahlad Maharaj. So that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. We'll come to that. All pure devotees come out successful in the respective tests of that. See, why tests are given in this world? In general, you see, currently, because one wants to progress. So we saw in Vedvya's vision, what is the purpose of Maya? Maya is reforming conditioned souls who are not directly reformed by Krishna. So Maya tries to reform them by giving them suffering, etc. Avidya. So Maya's test. Maya also tests and Krishna also tests and his pure devotees also test. But what is that test? Because without test, we cannot progress in bhakti. So that's why test is essential for going back to Godhead. So this is what actually Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very beautifully explains this, what Prabhupada has given a very capsule way. Let us see that. So he gives many examples of all this, right? So as I told you earlier, you can see here. Because Arjuna was tested. So because Arjuna was intelligent, he knew the nature of Krishna. Krishna's nature is that though he is omniscient, he tests his devotees. In this way, in order to show their sense of justice to others. So this also we saw. So Arjuna, a possessor of dharma, was tested for application of dharma properly. Right? Then gopis were tested, which I told. So these many verses are given, which you can see. Right? Duty of woman, you should serve husband. Why you have come here? How actually I am Paramatma there. Why you are not separated from me? You go back. Like that. So he tested them. Then he tested Prithu Maharaj by asking for benediction. But Prithu, what Prithu said? That my dear Lord, I don't know what is good for me. But you are like good father. You decide what is good for me and give me. Same is the case with Prahlad. So how Lord is testing? Because Lord personally, Kapila says that, even if I offer benedictions to devotees, if there is no service, they don't accept it. Even 4-5 liberations if I offer, they don't accept. So Lord says also, and then Lord tests also by giving benediction. What devotees do. So Mahaprakash Leela is the best depiction of this, where Lord is asking you, please ask my dear devotee, but devotee doesn't ask anything. So this is one thing, but more relevant for us is even pure devotees also test. So Siddha devotees also test. So Parikshit Maharaj was tested throughout Bhagavatam in 3 places essentially. So the first test came at the 6th canto, 1st chapter. So all of us know that. No? He was asking that how these hellish people can be delivered. then to check his Siddhanta Abhijnata, his right understanding of Siddhanta, Parikshit Maharaj was tested by Sukadeva Goswami by telling some lower solution. Like, you can do atonement or you can cultivate knowledge. But then he was dissatisfied. So he passed the test. Then he gave the real answer. Kichit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayana Agam Dhunvanti Kasnena Nivharam Iva Bhaskara. Similarly, Parikshit was tested in 9th canto. So this is another test. See, every test has a purpose. So second test was there at the end of 9th canto, when Parikshit Maharaj was told about Krishna Leela in a very synopsis way. Only 3-4 verses, entire Krishna Leela. From birth, Vrindavan pastimes, killing demons, Dwarka, Kurukshetra, and Prabhashetra Leela. Entire thing in 4 verses was told. But that was the test of Parikshit Maharaj, whether Leela Utsukyam is there in his heart, whether he wants to hear about Krishna. So this is another test of our eagerness to know about Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj was tested. And the most last test, which comes in the 12th canto, is 12th canto, 5th chapter, where this is the very amazing test which Parikshit Maharaj is. At the end, Parikshit Maharaj is instructed by Sukadeva Goswami that, my dear Parikshit, now you focus on jnana. Give up your Pashu Buddhi, focus on jnana. Like that. So, and some verses are spoken. So that is his test in steadiness of bhakti. So this Sukadeva Goswami purposefully did with 2 reasons. He wanted to test his disciple whether my message is gone and his faith has arisen on bhakti. So he saw that Parikshit became angry. So Sukadeva was very happy that yes, operation is successful and patient is ecstatic in his pure devotional service. So he was happy to see displeasure of Parikshit Maharaj upon hearing jnana. He was saying, now I have hardly few hours remaining and you are telling me jnana? Why you are telling? So this is a test of Parikshit. But Sukadeva Goswami had another plan. Because Bhagavatam being a confidential scripture, so he wanted to hide the confidentiality. So at the end he spoke jnana, kaivalyam eka prayojanam, so that the jnanis, those who approach Bhagavatam with wrong motivations, will get diverted. And they will quote that, see, Sukadeva Goswami at the end spoke this. So such are the tests of Siddha devotees. So tests are the means by which we make progress. And they come not the way current day tests happen, which are of information and memory test. It is not about that. So that's what is this purport and this pastime is depicting. And at the end of chapter, again this thing will come. So the very beautiful thing which Krishna is doing here. So going further, 41. Now the story continues. Athopetya swashibhe govinda priya sarathi nyavayadantam priyayai shochantyatmajan hatan. Please read.
After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his dear friend and charioteer Sri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons.
Yeah. So Arjuna understood the test of Krishna and he didn't kill him. He bound him like an animal and brought it to wife. That's what he had promised. That I will, of course, he has promised that I will bring his head. So with head he brought everything. And he was lamenting. So Govinda Priya Sarathi. So Prabhupada takes that one word and comments that how every one of us have this opportunity to become dear to Krishna and relate with him. So Prabhupada says, please read the last line.
Everyone thus can enjoy the company of the Lord in the spiritual realm if he at all desire and sincerely tries for it by the process of Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah. So see, Prabhupada is saying here, if at all he desires and sincerely tries, then everyone can enjoy. So, means aspiring company of Lord and acting on that, both are very, very necessary. Prabhupada elsewhere writes that most of us don't want to go back to Godhead, like that Prabhupada says in first few chapters earlier. So really it's very essential because material energy is so distracting, can create so many aspirations and desires in our heart, by which the desire to be in the company of Lord and serve Him and give Him pleasure becomes little bit mixed with so many other things. So Prabhupada is saying that if at all he desires, and that desire is not only necessary, but action on that. It tries for it sincerely by process of Bhakti Yoga, means pure Bhakti Yoga. So that's what here Govinda Priya Sarathi, that word is being quoted by Prabhupada. Tatharitam Pashuvat Pashabadha Avangmukham Karma Jugupsena Niriksha Krishna Pakritam Guru Sutam Vamasvabhava Kripayana Namacha. Please read the translation.
Srila Sud Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Ashwadhama, who was bound with ropes like an animal, and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well-behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana.
Yeah. So here, Sukdev Goswami, or other words, Sut Goswami, here calling Draupadi as Vamasvabhava. When she saw him being bound in this way, she was very beautiful natured woman, very virtuous, very noble, like that. Vamasvabhava has many meanings. Charu Svabhava, like that. So beautiful means beautiful in his form and qualities both. So form and quality beauty is real beauty. That's what actually Krishna also possesses. So that's what was there with Draupadi. So what is this Vama Svabhava is seen here by her offering obeisances to him. Can you imagine? The person who has killed your 6 sons, and he has not just killed, there is not much proper reason also for killing. But when he is seeing him, such a horrible person who has given great distress to her, but she is offering respects to him, seeing him as a Brahman. So that is her naturally good and well-behaved behavior. So this is a very unique heart of a Vaishnava, where he has no hatred even for his enemy. So that's what you see in Bhagavad Gita when Krishna is telling Arjuna in 12th chapter who is dear to him. So set of verses come. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha ityadi sukhas. So there the first verse is Adveshta sarva bhutanam. Means he has no hatred for even enemy. That's what is the meaning of Adveshta. It is the first quality which is written. So that is a Vaishnava. And why he is not having any hatred even for enemy? Because Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra, because he has friendliness with them. And he is compassionate on them, on spiritual platform. So that is the nature of a Vaishnava. Like other day, Sudama Prabhu was saying that actually a Vaishnava is one who forgives before even being asked forgiveness by the person who has apparently offended him. So it's very difficult to understand what is this. So this is, we can see here, that she is able to offer respect to a person who has killed her own son. Actually, mothers can understand the grief and distress of Draupadi more than us, because of the great affection which they have for son. Prabhupada compares that affection of mother and child to be closest to the selfless love in the soul world. But still, she is able to respect. That's why she is glorified as Vama Swabhava. So this is a very special characteristic of a Vaishnava, which was depicted by Srila Prabhupada towards the wife of Mr. N. You know, she created so much of trouble for Prabhupada. Prabhupada accepted her also later as a daughter. So that's the heart of a Vaishnava. Very, very exalted heart. So Prabhupada in purport writes, now you will see the heart of Draupadi actually. In the next many verses, you will see how Draupadi takes the decision of not, toward Ashwatthama. And what is the basis of her wisdom? What is the basis of her talks? Because eventually, Yamraj also is very agreeing to what Draupadi said. So let us go there. So before that, in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada, taking this Vama Svabhava word, wants the inappropriate behavior of a womanly nature, particularly. So let us see what Prabhupada says. Yeah, so here, this already we discussed. Her mild nature as woman, she could not withdraw the due respect which was to be offered to a Brahmana, although he was Brahma Bandhu, still. So Prabhupada here says that women as a class are like boys, and therefore they have no discriminatory power like that of man. So this is, as I said, that there is something called womanly nature and there is something called manly nature. So this kind of natures exist in living entities. So that's what is being said here. That like boys means not much rational discriminatory things. Because this fellow who is Ashwatthama is not a Brahmana actually. He is fallen Brahmana. So he doesn't deserve that much respect. So that's what Prabhupada says here. He was condemned by Krishna also, but yet mild woman could not withdraw her natural courtesy for Brahmana. Then Prabhupada says, nowadays even people, cultured women offer respect to any sadhu or any Brahmana who comes in Brahmana dress. Although that Brahmana is doing some nonsense also. Whereas the men, they don't do that. But they see, what is this beedi drinking Brahmana or beedi drinking sadhu? Like that. So that's what he says. Yeah. Now, please read this.
A good man or woman accepts anything very easily, but a man of average intelligence does not do so. But anyway, we should not give up our reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle. One must have good discriminatory power to judge a thing on its merit. We should not follow the mild nature of a woman and thereby accept that which is not genuine. Ashwatthama.
Yes. So here, what is to be understood is that we have to use our discrimination when we are dealing and we are taking some decisions. So that's why generally you see that the justice and mercy. So generally the justice givers are the leaders and generally they are men, because that manly nature is there inherent in their machine. Now this is the machine which is awarded by the Supreme Lord. So that machine has a particular nature. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. So we should not be carried away by being compassionate and merciful, which is womanly nature, but we should have proper discrimination also. So that this is what it means, gullible. You understand? Gullible means to accept anything very easily. That's why the women need protection in all phases of life, because they are gullible by their machine, which is given to them. So It is not that is like, like Prabhupada elsewhere says that women are less intelligent. So we have to understand things in a right context. That women have some wonderful qualities and the mentalities which men don't have, and men have certain natures and inclinations which women don't have. And Prabhupada writes like that, it has to be understood in a full context. And when it comes to giving justice, then it has to be done rationally with discrimination. That's why Prabhupada is saying that we should not give up our reason just to be gentle. So that's why this gullibility is one of the nature of a womanly body. You should not follow the mild nature of woman and thereby accept which is not genuine. So that is the point here. So there should be proper balance of justice and mercy. So we'll see in further verses also. It will come. Actually, now next 6 verses are Draupadi is giving brilliant wisdom of her heart of Vaibhava, in which she is telling different reasons and how to respond to this situation, how he should not be killed. So she gives 6 reasons and they are summarized by Suta Goswami in the verse number 49. So first we will see that verse and then we'll come to 43 to 48. Just to see in a full context.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have one question. So
Prabhu,
actually
can
here
we come? Hare Krishna. Suryakant Krishna Prabhu, can I request you one thing?
Yes.
Can we complete this section and then we can have some discussion?
Okay, no issues.
Yes. I'm sorry for that. But we have very limited time. Yeah. So, see, this is the summary of the whole talk. Dharmam nyayam sakarunam nirvyalikam samam mahat raja dharma suto rajnyam pratyananda dvachodvijaha. Yeah. Please read the translation.
Suta Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthir fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity.
Yeah. So see, Dharmaraj, who is man, who is accepting the proper discrimination of Draupadi. So we have to understand that Prabhupada here is teaching us something. Prabhupada is not talking about Draupadi as a devotee personality. Because Draupadi is a glorious devotee. So Yudhishthira is also. Dharmaraj is saying that perfect Draupadi. This is what I am with you. Bhima was on other side. So what are her vachas? Pratyanandat means he supported, fully supported. Dharma Sutta Rajnyaha. Rajnyaha means by her, whatever she spoke. And what were her words? Dharmyam. Dharmyam means in accordance with principles of religion. Dharmyam. What it is, we will see in the verse. They were justified. Means what? Nyayam. Means they were reasonable. They were logical. On the level of gratitude. They were logical, justified. What is the third? Glorious. Dharmam nyayam sakarunam. Sakarunam means full of mercy. Sakarunam. Full of mercy on the other. Then nirvyalikam means completely without duplicity, without any ulterior motivation. Nirvyalikam samam. Samam means equity. And mahat. Mahat means glorious, generous words. So what are those words? Let us see in the verses. So we'll understand this particular verse is Suta Goswami is glorifying her talk in a very concise way. So what is this dharmyam, nyayam? How it is according to dharma? So let us go into verse number 43. Vacha sahantasya bandhananayanam sati mucchatamesha brahmano nitaram guruhu. Yes, please read the translation.
Hare
She
Krishna,
could not
shall I
tolerate.
read? Shall I read? Please. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Yeah.
Please read,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
please go ahead.
She could not tolerate Ashwatthama's being bound by ropes and being a devoted lady. She said, realize him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master.
Yeah. So here her Vaishnava nature is depicted, first of all. Before going to Dharmyam, what uvacha cha asahanti asya bandhananayaman sati. So she could not tolerate that this Brahmana is bound. Although that she has been given so much of distress by him, she is unable to tolerate the way he has been brought like animal, tied. So she is called Sati. What is Sati means? Noble, the devoted. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that she is so noble lady that she is even nobler than Parikshit Maharaj and even Arjuna. So Arjuna, they could not tolerate the offender's problem. Arjuna bound him with anger and brought it. Right? Parikshit Maharaj could put snake on the offender, apparent offender. Whereas Draupadi here is more nobler than both of them. That's why she could not tolerate the distress of someone who has created so much of problem. So this is her heart. Now that's why she is saying mucchatam, you know. This is punishment can be given, but it should not be done in this way. Because why? Brahmano nitaram guru. He is a Brahmana, and Brahmana is always at the level of spiritual master. So you should not deal him with in such a way. It is not that he should not be punished, but should be appropriately done, because he is a Brahmana. That way. That is the Dharmyam here. Dharmyam means she spoke according to words which are faithful to scriptures. Where the Brahmana or Brahmabandhu, if he does mistake, he should be punished. But he should be punished in an appropriate way. Right? Like all of us know that punishments are given in cultured society according to the person. They are not given according to just blank policies which are completely impersonal, irrespective of the consciousness of a person. Like a Brahmana, simply by speaking words, he will feel punishment and he will improve. Whereas Kshatriya ego has to be pinched, then he will feel punishment. Whereas Vaishya needs some capital punishment and Shudra needs a physical punishment. So punishment has to be given appropriate. So she is saying, he is a Brahmana, he doesn't deserve such a binding like animal. Mucchatam, you know, release him from this bandhan like animal. So that is according to scripture. So that's what she is called Sati or noble, because she could not tolerate his bondage. She was thus nobler than Parikshit and Arjun towards those who were offenders to the devotees. So Prabhupada here writes a very special comment, and he again comes to Draupadi. So you see in all this purport, Prabhupada will glorify Draupadi and Prabhupada will apparently criticize Draupadi to teach us something. So Prabhupada always switches the, his comments so as we can properly grasp what is the message. A guru is called also an acharya, or a person who has personally assimilated all essence of shastras and helped his disciples to adopt the ways. So Prabhupada is commenting on the word Guru, Brahmano Nitaram Guru. So Guru is not just a person, he has qualification of from Shastra and he is teaching. And good lady like Draupadi, matter was considered not from an angle of Shastric vision, but as an angle of custom. So this is what I was explaining. A custom means the ways in which the punishments and everything is dealt with. So that's why she is saying that as a Brahmana, he should not be treated like this. You may punish him, that's fine. So that's why by custom, Ashwatthama was offered same respect as offered to his wife. So she went with custom, right? Actually, the matter is different. So he again goes to other side. Right? But in spite, again he will glorify him. But in spite all this, Draupadi desired that Ashwatthama be at once released. And it was the same good sentiment for her. This means that a devotee of Lord can tolerate all sorts of tribulation personally, but still such devotees are never unkind to others, even to the enemy. These are the characteristics of one who is a pure devotee of Lord. So see, now Prabhupada is glorifying her in this. This all we discussed already, right? What is the heart of a Vaishnava? So here one more point Prabhupada is giving is that when a Vaishnava is personally hurt, he doesn't respond. He responds with Trinadapi Sunichin. But if another Vaishnava is hurt, then he becomes angry. No? So that is the response of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagai Madai. So that's what. Personally tribulation he should tolerate. That's what is being said. So going further, second quality of her deep wisdom, this Nyayam or aptness or correctness according to Niti Shastra. So Sarahasyo Dhanur Vedah Savisargopasayamaha Atragramascha Bhavata Chitoyad Anugrahat. Please read the translation.
It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you have learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons.
Yeah. So she is saying to Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, now you have bound him and brought him because you have learned all these things of all these astras from Dronacharya, by whose mercy you have learned all these things. How can you do this? Don't have any sense of gratitude? So this feeling of gratitude is being spoken here. So you see, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that only. That he is saying, if you had not learned how to throw and withdraw Brahmastra from his father, how could you now bind him up and bring him here? That is her consideration. So that's what she is saying. So sense of gratitude. So now she is coming from Dharma Shastra to lower principles, like being grateful. So even an atheist person has this feeling of gratitude actually. Atheist in the sense I am saying the person who is not follows the way, doesn't accept any dharma. He just says be good, do good. That person also follows such Niti Shastra principles, like gratitude, like morality, for example, like Gandhiji was following morality. Without knowing the spirituality and devotion, even on moral level, you should be grateful, Arjuna. How can you respond like this? That is her point here. See. So Prabhupada tells that Prabhupada glorifies the Dhanur Vidya and everything, how it is glorious, and it was taught to even Lord. Dashath Maharaj also knew this art very specially. And same thing, Prabhupada elaborates. Draupadi wished that Arjuna feel obliged to the Acharya Drona, and in the absence of Dronacharya, his son was representative. So that was the opinion of good lady Draupadi. Yeah, please read this last part.
It may be argued why Dronacharya, a rigid Brahmana, should be a teacher in the military science. But the reply is that Brahmana should become a teacher regardless of what his department of knowledge is. A learned Brahmana should become a teacher, a priest, and a recipient of charity.
Yeah, so Prabhupada in his purport, he is teaching all kinds of lessons. So now he is bringing out a cultural lesson of Varnashram society, where he is saying that Brahmana should always be teaching. He can even teach military science, because that's the nature of the Brahmana. Pathan, Pathan, Yajan, Yajan, Dan, Patigraha. So he should become a teacher, regardless of what is his department. So he is teaching this part also, like that. Otherwise, the other people will not able to fully grasp what is there in the scripture to teach also to Kshatriya. So that's the point. So the activities should be done according to the machine which he has got, that way. So that helps everyone, like that. So Prabhupada is giving so many different lessons in his purpose. So third, now Sakarunam, Dharmam, Nyayam, Sakarunam. Now full of compassion and mercy, merciful. So Esha Bhagavan Drona Prajarupena Vartate Tasyatmanordham Patnyaste Nanvagad Virasu Krupi. Yes, please read translation.
He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife, Kripi, did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son.
Yeah. Now, he is saying that Saesha Bhagavan Drona, he is standing here in form of his son. And she was planning to enter, but she didn't enter because she had a son. So both ways. Wife is Ardhangini, and now son is representative of father. So you should not be so merciless. You should not kill him. No? That's the message here by Draupadi. So Prabhupada says that a widow is a widow only in the name if there is a son of her husband existing. Therefore, killing Ashwatthama would be like killing Dronacharya. That was the argument of Draupadi against killing Ashwatthama. Now, the next Dharmam, Nyayam, Sakaruna, Nirvelikam, non-duplicitous or not causing harm to others. So, or not causing harm and not having any ulterior motivations also. That is what is Nirvelikta. Nirvelikta means non-duplicity. Dharmadnya Mahabhaga Bhavadhir Gauravam Kulam Vrijinam Narhati Praptum Pujam Vandyam Abhikshnashaha. Yeah, please read quickly.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O most fortunate one who knows the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectable and worshipful.
Yeah. So now he is telling, my dear Arjuna, you are Dharmanya, you are Mahabhaga, you are aware of principles of religion. How can you create some distress for Gauravam Kulam like this, Brahman Kul? That doesn't deserve. They don't deserve like this. You cannot do that. So what does that mean is that it is not like, ulterior motivation is, you save him now, later on he will help us. No, there was nothing like that. It is just a core non-duplicitous nature. That he might be fool number one, he might be Brahman Bandhu, but you are Dharmanya. How can you give suffering to such Gauravam Kulam? You see which Kula he belongs to, right? So like that. That's why they are always to be worshipped. Pujyam Vandyam Abhikshnashaha. Not just some period of time. Always they are worshipable. The Brahma Kula. Like that. So like that she is saying. So Prabhupada says we should be careful in dealing with such worship family members. And fifth one, Samam or empathetic. empathetic of calmness or equity, Prabhupada said, equity or equanimity. So she is able to empathize with Kripi, who is another mother. So she doesn't want her to cry like her. So she is saying the next. Marodidasya janani Gautami pati devata yathaham mrtavat sarta rodim ashrumukhi muhu.
My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. He will not cry constantly like me. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
This is her empathy for Kripi. She is thinking, Gautami, Pati Devata. She's a chaste lady. How she can be crying like me? Although I am suffering now, I can understand what will happen to her if you kill him. So please don't kill him. This is Samam. This is empathetic. So Prabhupada says that in his purport. The last, Mahat. So they are generous words or strong words. But what is the generosity? Actually, these words are spoken with great anger. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Nishthur Vakya Hitopadeshat. Nishthur means spoken quite strongly, not like, humbly speaking. No. These words, this particular verse is spoken very strongly, but for the hit of Arjuna and Pandava. That's why they are said as glorious words. Wrong words spoken with hit, which will be benefiting to the hearer, which is Arjuna. That is the Mahat word. Yai kopitam brahma kulam rajannair ajitatmabhi tatah kulam pradah atyas ashrusanu bandhanam shujarpitam. Yeah, please.
If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in sense control, offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of that rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon all.
Yeah, she is saying that how can you, Kshatriya, you are thinking of taking action on Brahmakula. Brahmakula, they are very powerful. You have bodily power, but their power, they can destroy entire Kula of Kshatriya. So don't do that. So we have example of Prithu Maharaja. Before Prithu Maharaj, Vena was there. So there was no king. So what they did, so they appointed Vena actually. After his father left, what is his name? Anga Maharaj, very great pure devotee of Lord. So he tried to teach his son, and he tried his best, and when he understood it is not possible, he left it. Then he became king, and he was like demoniac, Vena. So when Vena was demoniac, when there was no king, there were a lot of problems. So what Brahmanas did, sages did, that Vena, you become king. Although you are like demoniac, but no king is worse than king, who is also like this Vena. So they made him king, and they tried to teach him. So when Vena became king, lot of things reduced. All the thieves and rogues, because they came under him that way. But he was not fully hearing the sages. So sages killed him simply by hunkar, by such thing. That is the power of them. The same thing is spoken by Rahugana to Jad Bharat also. My dear Jad Bharat, I offer obeisances to everyone, and let no Kshatriya in future should offend a Brahmanical person like you, because it's very dangerous. So he offers one prayer very beautifully. I think 5th canto it comes. So basically that danger she is speaking about here. That burns up the whole body of royal family. Fire of rage, fire, anger of the sage, anger of a true Brahmanical sage can destroy the royal family, as we see in case of Parashuram doing the same thing, right? Yeah. So Prabhupada says that who are Brahmanas, the spiritually advanced caste or community. were always held in a great esteem by other subordinate classes, namely administrative kingly order, mercantile order, and the laborers. So that's what actually Prithu Maharaj also, when he was acting like a king, so he had kept Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. In his speech, he said that I am trying to administer the people, but I am following the order of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So that's how the proper administrator has proper disposition towards the spiritually advanced caste, who actually really have foresights to guide the entire society. They have ideas based on scriptures, how the society should function, etc. So that's how that time such things were there, surely. And the principle hold now also, surely, but may not be in a sense of a full society of Varnashrama. So this is how this 49th verse concludes. So Prabhupada also in his purport, so this verse we already read. So Dharmaraj, who knows the essence of Dharma, immediately agreed with Draupadi's words. That's what. So Prabhupada in his purport explains all these things based on Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur person. The good quality of her words was seen in previous 6 verses. So there was faithful to Dharma, it was with correctness, full of mercy, it was not wanting to cause pain to others, it was sense of calmness and generous. So like that Prabhupada gives. So this is words, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur purport, and Prabhupada also says the same things actually in his purport. So we have discussed already that. So now going further, what happened? Yeah, please read the translation.
Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjuna, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and others all unanimously agreed with the king.
Yeah. So they also joined they agreed with Draupadi's partition. But what is the next verse? 51st verse. But Bhima, however, please read the translation of 51 verse, Prabhu. Same. You see from your book, here it is little stopped.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So Bhima, however, disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit who, in an angry mood, had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest.
So Bhima has still another opinion, right? So there are two parties here, Bhima and all others. Now how Krishna reciprocates, Krishna responds to this unique situation. Nishamya Bhima Gaditam Draupadyascha Chaturbhujaha Alokyavanam Sakshur Idam Aha Hasanniva. Please read.
Chaturbhuj, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjun, and he began to speak as if smiling.
Yeah. So what is happening here? Krishna is dealing with a very complex situation here. So he saw the differences in opinion of his great devotees, and they always exist. So this is what this pastime is telling. So there is no problem in having difference of opinion, and difference on opinions will exist among Vaishnavas. But how did Arjuna deal with it has to be seen. So Krishna is first dealing, because Bhima is so angry, he is just about to approach him. Whereas Draupadi is saying Muchatam, Muchatam. So they are both, imagine the scene. There is a picture also, I was trying to find, but could not. Okay. So what Lord has to do, he has to manifest another two arms to stop this Bhima and stop Draupadi also. So that's how he manifested another two arms to control the situation. So that's why Chaturbhuj is there. And then he is smiling as if so. He is smiling that now Arjuna, he saw Arjuna's face. And Alokya Vadanam Sakshur, his friend, smilingly he saw. So he didn't laugh. That's what Acharya said. He smiled, just as in Bhagavad Gita he does, right? Just a little bit smita hasya on his lower lip. seeing his friend. And so that's what Prabhupada explains in his purport, actually. So he quotes Sridhar Swami, etc. So lastly, Prabhupada very nicely writes that when Arjuna was perplexed about what to do with Ashwatthama, Lord Shri Krishna, as the very dear friend of Arjuna, voluntarily took up the matter just to make a solution. And he was smiling on. So see, the matter is taken by Krishna. And in smiling, he is doing something. What he is doing, we will understand in his words. His response is shown. Now his words are there in the next verse. How he took the matter to make solution will be clarified in future verse. So verse 54. Yeah, please read the translation.
The personality of Godhead Shri Krishna said, a friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimasena and me.
Yeah. So this is the test of Arjuna happening. Earlier test was there. Then Krishna told him to kill. He didn't kill. He brought here. Now it's a bigger test. Because all Vaishnavas are there. They are dear to Krishna and they are expressing some different things. And Krishna is telling that you should act according to scripture. You should fulfill promise to wife. And you must act to satisfaction of Bhima and me also. So he is taking side that I am with Bhima and you have to satisfy Draupadi and you have to follow Shastra. And he is telling Shastric principle also here. What he is telling? Brahma Bandhur na hantavya. Now he is telling, actually Brahma Bandhu is not supposed to be killed, although he might be doing something. But Atatai Vadharhanaha. Atatai has to be killed. So appears contradictory. So you decide, Arjuna. Like that he smiled. And so what is meaning here is that right now Ashwatthama, although being Atatai, he doesn't have weapon. That is one thing. Second thing is, he is Brahma Bandhu, so he should be punished, but he should not be punished by killing. That is the Siddhanta. That's what indirectly Krishna is telling. You follow the scripture and please all of the people here. This is the most difficult instruction given by the Supreme Lord to Arjuna. So this is what Prabhupada says. Yeah. No Brahmana should be killed. But Manu has said that if aggressor approaches with desire to kill, he can be killed. Even if he is learned in Vedanta. But he doesn't have weapon, should not be killed. So this is real Siddhanta. Right? So like that. And so going further now, what? So the same thing Prabhupada also writes. So this dilemma was present before Arjuna and the solution was avoided by Krishna. That's what Prabhupada is telling. Right? So where is the solution given here? Confusion is created by Krishna. The solution is given by Krishna by his glance and smile to Arjuna in his heart. What is to be done? So that's what Prabhupada is saying. The dilemma will come in our life. But to the degree we are connected to Krishna, we will be, and Guru, we will get proper guidance as to how to act in the proper way according to Guru Sadhu Shastra for pleasure of Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. So it's very essential. So next verse tells that only, actually. Yeah. Verse 55. Suta uvacha Arjuna sahasajnaya Harer hardamatha sasina manim jahara murdhanyam vijasya sahamurdhajam. Yeah, please read the translation.
Translation. Just then Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama.
Yeah. So here Arjuna sahas ajnaya harer hardam means he could understand the heart of the Lord because he was properly Krishna conscious. That's why. And of course, Krishna was personally there glancing at him, smiling and telling him. So he could understand what is heart of Krishna. Although there were equivocal orders. So what he did, he just removed from his head the money. So which is considered as good as death actually, because there is a lot of potency in that. So he severed his money on head. It is as if he cut the head. So he did what Draupadi wanted, and he did what Bhima wanted both. So that's what he acted actually. So such are the tests which come in the devotee's life. There will be sometimes different directions coming from different Vaishnavas, and they are all dear to Krishna, and maybe there are authorities also. But what we should be doing? So we should be very thoughtful in response. So as we are discussing about tests, so see, Prabhupada tells here, contradictory orders of different persons are impossible to carry out. Therefore, a compromise was selected by Arjuna by his sharp intelligence, and he separated jewel from head of Ashwatthama. So, this is what is a mature response given by Arjuna, because Arjuna knows that Krishna, Bhima is also dear to Krishna, Draupadi is also dear to Krishna. So I just cannot go with one side. I have to do compromise to please both of them. So how to do that? So that's what he thought, and he was given the solution by the Supreme Lord. That's what Prabhupada said, that solution is given by the Supreme Lord. So these tests are the essential aspects of our devotional service. So these tests require proper Shastric foundation also, right? We saw Krishna telling Arjuna that you take decision based on Shastric principles and please Vaishnavas also. So the purpose of education actually has to be all these aspects, or education and sadhana and seva. These all things have to be properly dealt with. So it's like just one slide I will try to put here. Yeah. So you are saying, in order to pass the real life test, we need to assimilate the Siddhanta properly and to act properly at spur of moment. Actually, my spiritual master said in one lecture that all culmination of all your very nice sadhana and everything will boil down to how you respond at a spur of a moment. In a particular dharma sankat, which will eventually everyone has to face, how you respond properly, that is the culmination of all your sadhana, seva and sambandha, everything. Basically sadhana. So, how you respond? Like, so many examples are there where person did not respond properly at a spur of moment. So here Arjuna is able to do because of his depth of his connection with Krishna and his understanding of Shastra. So that's why it's very important for properly grasping the Shastra also is very necessary. And then surely we need to live by that Shastric principle. That's why our education has to be very deep. The education, now all these courses we are doing, they are what Prabhupada wanted actually. Prabhupada wanted all these courses to be done for all the devotees, not for some people who want first initiation, second initiation, sannyas initiation. There is a letter of Prabhupada where Prabhupada is saying every devotee. So not just courses, I am not saying courses, but one should go through these books which are written by Srila Prabhupada to grasp the depth of the Vaishnava Siddhanta and try to go closer to it. Because the hearts of Vaishnavas are given in these books. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is even high actually. It is directly depiction of those who are living by that, living by highest devotion, how they deal with each other is Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that's why the training should be very proper, long-term and Shastra-based. It should not be like TED Talk education, which is nowadays informational education. No, it should be long, it should be traditional, and it should be based on Shastra. Without that, it is all mental speculation. And it is mental speculation will not give a proper result at all because the basis is wrong. So Guru Sadhu Shastra, when we say, Shastra is the sun by which Guru and Sadhu see. So that's why here we can see Krishna is testing Arjuna's sense of justice. So Arjuna is able to evaluate the whole subject matter and taking right decision at the spur of the moment. So it's very essential for all of us because the tests are going to come. The Dharma Sankat will come. So when we act like Uttanapat, for example, he could not act rightly at a spur of moment. But he regretted later at least. So that was good. So that's how we should progress. First, at least we should know the mistakes and at least we regret later, like Uttanapat case. The most dangerous thing is we do mistake and we don't even regret, or rather we justify. Then we can never improve. That is the case of Daksha. When Narada Muni came to help him, but he could never accept, not help, but give him bhakti. But he could never accept, but he could never detect what mistake he did. So we will surely commit mistake, there is no doubt. But what you do after that? So we regret or admit, so that day. And as we go through this process, gradually our mistakes will reduce and will become more and more attentive to act rightly at a spur of moment for pleasing Krishna. So Rahugana also offended Jad Bharat. But as soon as he understood, he immediately fell at his feet. Right? So it's very essential that we properly introspect what is happening within and without. Not just worry about what is happening without. Because pleasing Krishna and pleasing Guru is quite internal thing. So why we are doing what we are doing has to be seen in a right spirit. So that's what actually this particular section is teaching us many valuable lessons. So just we'll see this remaining verses, and then if there is some discussion we can have for 5-10 minutes. Then verse 56. Yeah, please read the translation.
Ashwatthama had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus he was unbound and out of the camp.
Yeah. So he lost his effulgence and power by that. That's what is true. Yeah, 57, you can read.
Cutting the hair from his head of his wealth and driving him from his residence are prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahman. There is no injunction for killing the body.
Yeah, so this is now Sud Goswami is giving the Siddhanta in this particular, right? Sud Goswami is telling that this is how a Brahmana should be punished. So this is given in scripture. So Arjuna could discern it properly in spite of so much dynamics by grace of Krishna. Yeah, last verse, please read.
Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals For the dead bodies of their relatives.
Yeah. So then they went to do all these things, right? So that's what is actually this section is teaching us. Actually, there is, as I told you initially, there is manly nature and there is manly nature. So there is justice and there is mercy. So there is rational way of thinking, discriminative thinking, and punishing. So this is all there in the manly nature, and the compassionate nature, forgiving nature, caring nature. So this is all womanly nature. But what is needed is that wherever we are, we have to go closer to it, closer to having both in our deeds. But we have to know our own role also. If a Kshatriya is there, punishment, for example, so he has to punish, but punishment has to be given with compassion. Punishment should not be given out of hatred. Just a small principle which is given in Mahabharata. Mahabharata says that to punish more than what deserves is expression of lust. Like we see in Shastra also, Janmejaya wanted to kill all the snake race only, bring it, burn them all of them. So, he has to come. Who came? Vaishampayan, or someone has to come to stop him. But Dhruva Maharaj went to kill all the Yakshas. So then Manu has to come and pacify him. Prabhu, don't punish, don't over punish. You punish, but in a right, appropriate quantity. Or there is over anger, over punishment. So this is what is, there is a thin line actually. That's why it should be combination of both. The punishment should be given with compassion for reformation. So as soon as there is some selfishness in terms of envy or hatred or negativity about person, and then you over punish him, that is inappropriate and that is expression of lust. Whereas other extreme is just being compassionate. Like recently some people are saying the terrorists should be forgiven. They are human beings. They should not be killed. So this is another side of extreme where compassion, punishment only removed, only so-called compassion. So that also is wrong. It has to be properly done with right intent, compassion, forgiveness, basically reformation. So that's why this thing has to be properly contemplated upon. Then we can take proper decisions in our life. Now, one may say that how it applies to every one of us. But yeah, it applies. Actually, a devotee is a leader in one sense, every devotee. Be it if someone is department head or someone is in house, he is leading his family, right? So he is dealing with children, wife. So how we are dealing? Punishments are necessary, but how we are administering punishment? Is there something mixed in it? Or there can be other side. Basically where you are dealing with your dependent. That's the point. So there we have to be very careful and we have to have proper understanding of these two natures and they should be properly there in the system. Because punishment is given for elevating a person. So that's why it is inappropriate if we go either of the extreme. It has to be done with proper understanding so that we can reform ourselves and others. And if we commit mistake, we learn from that by seeing Guru Sadhu Shastra properly. We can learn from them. So there are so many examples in scripture we see. So I quoted few of them. Dhruva Maharaj, excessively angry. Prachetas burning the trees. Janmejaya. Actually, Brihaspati, now the episode is going on Brihaspati, right? Actually, it is said in, I think, this is 8th canto, 8th chapter, 20th verse, where Lakshmi ji is going for Swayamvar after coming from the Samudra Manthan. So she is searching a husband. So when she sees Brihaspati, she is saying that jnanam kvachit tacha nacha sangavarjita. Means what? Those who have knowledge, but they don't have detachment. Like example is given of Brihaspati. Some have knowledge, but they don't give up attachment. So Brihaspati was being attached to getting respect. So actually, Indra understood his mistake and Indra wanted to go and beg forgiveness from him. But Brihaspati was not present there so that he can forgive him. So that is what is the fineness of this. So that's why actually there is proper application of justice and mercy, or rationalization and compassion, or discrimination, etc. And then it has to be appropriately applied, as in case of Arjuna doing here. So that's why it is important to see this past tense in a right perspective. So now maybe it's already 3:54. Maybe for 10 minutes we may have some discussion. I think Prabhuji had wanted to express something. No? Suryakant Krishna Prabhu. Yes,
yes, Prabhu. So actually here in these verses we saw that Draupadi is very compassionate to Ashwatthama, even though he had killed her sons, and she is asking forgiveness. And then in the Mahabharata, we see that Draupadi has not tied her hair, because she has a vow that she would tie the hair only after applying the blood from Dushasana. So how do we understand this behavior? Because this seems to be a bit contradictory or opposite sides.
Yeah. So actually, why Mahabharata? Just here only we can see, na? How did Arjuna pacify Draupadi? Right? He said, Draupadi, I will bring his head and you can take bath standing on his head. And it is said that Draupadi got pacified by that. Such Valbu Jalpai, like that word is used. So we can see that she got pacified also. So this is there. And now we see her heart elaborately explained by Sut Goswami also. So when it comes to seeing the whole picture, we have to see actually Mahabharata is telling the emotions in full way. Right? Being a Kshatrani and Arjuna being Kshatriya. So the emotions are expressed and elaborated, given in Mahabharata, by which we can realistically understand how dealings happen. Even between wife and husband. Like for just another example of same thing in Mahabharata only, when they went for Vanvas, 14, 13, 12 years, 13 years. That time, Draupadi was very strongly speaking with Yudhishthir Maharaj based on Shastra. They had a very strong arguments actually. So such open expressions also we see in their relationship in Mahabharata. So, but when it comes to how they are acting and their devotion, that may not be given fully in Mahabharata all the time. But we see that in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to understand the ideal state of heart in Bhagavatam, and in Mahabharata and in Bhagavatam also, we are seeing here also, the emotions will come and they are expressed also. And they are realistic in that sense. But we can see what is the depth of her heart, right? So these two things like that we see through, because that's how Draupadi is glorified as Charu Swabhava, Vama Swabhava. Although such statements are made by her, although she is quite bold, like last statement was spoken in anger actually, to Arjuna. But she is able to do it because of the intimacy of their relationship, the respect which they are maintaining. So that's how it's all happening. These are a few thoughts.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so we cannot be artificial in expressing, like, trying to respond like Draupadi, if someone hurts us. No, we cannot do artificially. We have to be realistic. At the same time, we have to know what is our goal. And that's how we proceed from wherever we are. Otherwise, it will be very challenging actually. If we try to just imitate without fully, properly understood. Yes, anyone else has anything? Someone has raised hand. Yashika, yes,
Prabhuji, actually, I have a question. Actually, what Ashwathama did, it's a act of asura, basically. And we heard also that Brahman is by his karma. Then why Draupadi is saying कि मतलब उसको punishment होनी चाहिए, वो ब्राह्मणा वाली होनी चाहिए, मतलब.
We are saying that although he took birth as Brahman, but he acted like demon. Then why Draupadi is saying that he should be punished like a Brahman, right? Is that your question? Yeah, okay. So actually there is something called cultural aspect which was there that time. There is a cultural aspect of Brahmanical culture which was there. So that time people were understanding actually the punishment, if it is given according to the person externally also, he will improve. So it is not very easy for us to understand because we are not living in that culture. Because that culture was respect for everyone. There was nothing like, some person is completely thrown away. Brahma Bandhu is a respectful address, but it is telling you that he is not at the level of Brahman. So people were knowing how to deal with them, right? So when Draupadi is saying that, Draupadi is not just seeing him as a Brahma Bandhu, but she is seeing her father and his contribution in their life. She is not seeing just Ashwathama in that sense, right? We saw the reasons that, Acharya was your guru. So these all things come in picture when she is saying the decision. She is not saying you don't punish. You punish him, but respect him as he is connected to your spiritual master. So that is her mood. So basically the whole point is give punishment with compassion. Don't punish with some hatred. Don't punish with some negativity in your heart. So actually this is the side of the leader who punishes. So that's how both progress actually. Otherwise it is all, then what is happening currently, that will happen. So that kind of cultural setting was there. These are some thoughts which came. I have never asked this question to anyone, but I just expressed some thoughts which came to my mind. Okay. Okay. So we'll begin with next chapter now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Can you ask at the end, Mataji?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes. We'll begin because we have, I'm sorry to say that, but we have some stipulated time of syllabus, right? So we need to give justice there also. Otherwise, there is inconvenience for all of you, isn't it? We would be on. Yeah. So next chapter, very, very important chapter. Actually, the essence of the chapter are the prayers of Queen Kunti. So we'll try to give good amount of time for prayers. And before that, we'll try to go little quickly. Wherever there are important things in terms of our relevance, we'll discuss. Otherwise, we'll go till verse 70. So prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit says. So first verse. Sutauvacha athate samparetanam swanamudakamichchatam tatum sakrishna gangayam puraskritya yayushriyaha. Please read. Now one devotee can read translation for next two verses at least, so that it is quick.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Goswami said, there are Pandavas desiring to deliver water to dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi, the ladies walk in front.
Yeah, so this is the
Next
traditional
verse.
thing. This was the traditional ritual which they followed. So here traditionally Matajis can go. Traditionally Matajis don't go for funeral. Traditionally Mataji go for this particular offering of the tarpana. Like that. Yeah, next verse you can read the translation.
Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathe in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord.
Yeah. Read third also.
There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaja Yudhishthir, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there.
Yeah, so they're all doing this grieving because now battle is over between family members. So Putra Shokartam. So many Putra Shokartam are there. Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, Draupadi. Practically everyone lost their sons, no? So they are all together. They are all having that great lamentation and grief. So Krishna is also accompanied. So Krishna is the one who inspired Arjuna to fight and kill all these people. Now the same Krishna is coming along with them for pacifying them all. So this is what Dharma Yuddha means. It is Krishna's will. Dharma has to be established. So Krishna is participating in this particular way. No? So Gopa says, the Lord therefore was equally sympathetic toward them. And then they began to pacify them befittingly. So that is the next verse. Very important verse. Santvayamasa munibher atabandhum suchartitan bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayanna pratikriyam. Please read the translation.
Citing the striking laws of the Almighty and their reaction upon living beings, Lord Shri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected.
Yeah. So now, going with them for these rituals, they were doing pacifying them. Santvayamas. Who did this Santvana? Who did this pacifying? They have been done by Munis and Krishna personally. Both of them did Santvana for the grieving people. So a person who can pacify actually is a very mature person who is able to deal with the emotion of the grieved person. That's why Munis and Krishna personally are doing this pacifying measures. Because when one is in grief, when one is deeply emotionally hurt by someone close to him dying or something happening in his family due to some other family or whatever, if there is a great grief, first thing which is required in a proper community is pacifying measures. So they are done by a very elderly, mature people who understand the emotions properly. At the same time, how do they pacify? They just not pacify the emotions. They don't just encourage the person who is grief-stricken. They understand his emotion. They make him little calm. But pacification happens by telling the reality after making them calm. What is that? That is in the next line. Bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayanna pratikriyam. So, what did Krishna and Muni spoke? They spoke the nature of time. How time moves very forcefully. And you cannot do any major regarding, you cannot counteract the force of time. It is going to happen. So that also is spoken. So enlightenment is given after encouragement, proper pacification, understanding the emotions, then enlightenment is also given. Because the shoka can go only by tattva. So that's 11th canto, 7th canto, Narada Muni says, Anvikshikyam shoka mohau dambham mahadupasaya. Anvikshikyam shoka mohu. So shoka moha, we saw, actually these are the symptoms of material disease. Right? Prabhupada says that. Where he says? In the vision of Vaibhava. Prabhupada, there, that verse comes. What is that? Shoka moha bhayapaha. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne parama purushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsam shoka moha bhayapaha. So there Prabhupada writes the shoka for the past problem, moha in the current, and bhaya for the future. These are the symptoms of material disease which manifest because of bodily consciousness. So they have to be dealt with philosophical understanding of spirit, soul, time, and all these things. Otherwise, it is impossible. Or rather, all other measures of so-called pacifying on the material level is false compassion, actually. So that's what actually Prabhupada says in the purport. He first explains the nature of time and nature of material world and how we should follow the orders of Lord in whatever case we are. So that gradually will become free from this material affection, because it's very deep rooted actually. Material affection means affection based on body. So that one has to get liberated from. He should not become liberated from affection, but he should become liberated from material affection. So then Prabhupada says about this pacifying measure. So please read this first, green.
Unfortunately, under the influence of illusory material energy, we accept the spot life of only a few years as our permanent existence, and thus become illusioned by possessing so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, etc., which are false representations created by Maya, illusion. And under the dictation of Maya, we fight with one another to protect these false positions.
Yes. So here Prabhupada is telling a very important point, that how this illusion happens. So see, Prabhupada is saying our life is like spot life. What is spot life? In the sense of eternity where Krishna is seeing us. So this particular life is like one dot in that whole line. And Krishna is taking us ahead in every life actually. So this spot life, you have to understand that it's just small thing. So in that, whatever happens, we take it so seriously. This is it. All my connections, this is what my life is. This is permanent. My relationships are this only. So we accept it like that because of the influence of Maya. And what happens? As we accept this permanent existence in spot life, which is such insignificant in eternity real, we become illusions, moha. And then once we are in moha, then we fight. If someone does with those so-called false positions, people, pleasures, if they deal with us, then we fight with them. We don't understand that actually they have nothing to do with me. So that's what Prabhupada is first telling. Now, ahead, how do we pacify? That is given. Please read this.
By cultivating spiritual knowledge, we can realize that we have nothing to do with all this material paraphernalia. Then at once we become free from material attachment. This clearance of the misgivings of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotees, who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depth of the bewildered heart and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion. This is a summary of the pacifying measures for those affected by the reaction of stringent material laws exhibited in the forms of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are insoluble factors of material existence.
Insoluble factors of material existence. So they will always exist. How pacification is done? By cultivating spiritual knowledge. But how we do that? That is by associating with sadhus, associating with exalted devotees. Because they are living on that platform, at once Prabhupada is saying, at once takes place. At once you understand immediately. It's like eye-opening. Because what is their power? How such shoka moha can go in at once? Because they have ability to inject the transcendental sound in the depths of bewildered heart. That is the power of the exalted devotees of the Lord. So that is the only solution. That is the clear pacifying measure. That's what Krishna and the sages did there. Otherwise, person becomes completely illusioned. You see Gandhari, what she did. After her 100 sons died, she cursed Krishna. Can you imagine? Person can take any kind of decision if he is in moha, because everything is off. Like Kritadyuti, for example. Kritadyuti, when her son died, Harsha Shoka, he became so depressed, so much lamenting, that she started criticizing the Supreme Lord for creating relationships. She started criticizing Supreme Lord to be immature. So such unimaginable things happen when person is in illusion. Whereas you see Draupadi's 6 sons are killed, how she is responding. So it's very important for us to respond or try to respond on a spiritual platform. So that can happen by right association at right time. That's why it is said at once takes place. Because they have the power of waking us up from sleeping state of bodily consciousness and bodily connection, which is a spot life. That's why this is very important. Very amazingly, Prabhupada is telling. Thus, once make practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion. And actually, that's what happened to him. If you see, our Kritadyuti's husband, Chitraketu. So, when Chitraketu was so much in lamentation, Angira Muni came there. Angira Muni saw him that he is in shoka. It's very difficult for him to hear. So, let me speak what he will hear now. And because he will hear now, later he will remember. Right? So he told him, you will get Harsha Shoka. And he didn't hear fully. That's the problem. So he became delighted, I will get son and all. Then all this episode happened. Then seeing Kritadyuti lamenting, he also started lamenting. So these emotions go from one heart to all others also. That's what actually happens. Envy, moha, everything actually. It's contagious. So he also started lamenting. But that time Angira Muni came along with Narada Muni. So glory of Chitraketu is he respectfully expressed his challenge in front of great sadhu and he tried to follow what they say. So that's how he came out of that shoka moha bhaya. Although it took time, Angira Muni could not speak first time. He could not give injection only. But at least he gave injection in terms of he made him, he followed him actually. So that's the only hope. Otherwise, this material disease going is impossible actually. And what to speak of shoka moha? The 11th canto Bhagavatam says that the deep attachments in our heart can never go without the cutting of the sadhu's word. Because the depths of attachments are very deep there in the subconscious mind. We cannot even see them, but sadhus can cut them directly. That's why it's very important for us to associate with great souls, associate with pure devotees. They can do something which we even don't know what is there in us. We should try to associate with them. They are like mirror actually. It is said that the great souls are like mirror. If you go in front of them, you can see what is good in you and you get encouragement. At the same time, you can see what are the challenges in your heart. That is their glory. So whenever we get opportunity to associate with great souls like sannyasis, Prabhupada disciples, and great pure devotees, we should take their association. They open our eyes. Otherwise, the disease will continue. So going further, read the 5th verse. The clever Duryodhan.
The clever Duryodhan and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthir, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unsuspected king who joined with Duryodhan were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi.
Yeah. So now, Prabhupada in this purport takes very interesting route actually. He takes this word Kachasparsha Kshatayushaha, because this Dushasan and party touched the hair of Draupadi Kshatayushaha. So their lifespan was reduced that time only, but it manifesting happened at the time of battle externally. So this point Prabhupada is taking and writing a very powerful purport, telling us what is the system of Lord. The Lord maintains this whole system of his spiritual growth through maintaining the culture of 5 things. So the whole purport is speaking about how the 5 aspects in the society are very important to be maintained. The very first thing is the protection of Brahmanas. What it maintains? It maintains spiritual culture. What is spiritual culture? We saw in previous class. But basically spiritual culture means where there are proper behavior, proper interactions, proper social interactions based on spiritual platform. But this will be maintained by when there is Brahmanical culture. So, because they will maintain Varnashrama, that's what is the first point. Second point is cows. So cows give milk and cows please Krishna. So by that receptivity of spiritual knowledge comes. Because spiritual knowledge, understanding requires some level of receptivity. So Prabhupada writes, maintaining finer tissues of the brain for the understanding of higher aims of life. Otherwise, if cows are killed, one can impossible to understand the higher aims of life only. So that is second thing, the receptivity of spiritual devotional knowledge by the cows. Then Prabhupada says woman, protecting woman. What they do, very interestingly, Prabhupada writes word chastity of society, not just chastity of woman. Chastity of society means the purity of entire society remains proper when women are protected properly in all stages of their life. So it's 2 ways. One is chastity of society, means what? When there is unchastity, the 4 ranks will be broken, and then there is no question of taking up to devotional service in terms of taking it up and understanding it, both. And secondly, they will produce proper children, which is good generation for future. And the 4th and 5th are children and old people. So where Prabhupada says about Garbhadham Samskar, which is extremely important. Recently, His Grace Krishna Consciousness Prabhu gave a brilliant class on this Garbhadham Samskar. So actually, it is not just done on the day of conception or 50 rounds like that. It's a samskara which is done for at least 1 year before it begins, and that's what was done. So if some of you have not heard that lecture, please hear and let this proper knowledge of this be there, and that is the fourth one. And the fifth one, he is telling old men. So they can prefer death nicely in such setting, and they create good future for them. So there is future when children are proper. So this is all about maintaining a full society or community. It is not just maintaining one particular few people. No, it's a broader context. Prabhupada is writing how Krishna maintains this world properly by maintaining Brahmanical culture, where these 5 things are taken care properly. This complete outlook is based on factors leading to successful humanity as against the civilization of polished cats and dogs. So that's why, being connected to ISKCON, it's our responsibility to follow this as close as possible and help everyone else to know this system of Krishna, so that society at large can go ahead in this particular aspect. Otherwise, if other things happen, it's very dangerous. So that's why Prabhupada says that what to speak of killing any one of these 5. Even by insulting any one of these, one loses duration of life. So how dangerous it is. Even on material level, life duration is lost. On material level is also dangerous. So insult a chaste woman means to bring about disaster in duration of life. So these are the stringent laws of the Lord mentioned above. So the education system is not teaching the stringent laws in which the material world works, but it is teaching something else. So these laws we should be knowing, and we should be helping others also to know, to be happy in this world and go back to spiritual world. Like this. So going further, text 6, can you read?
Lord Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedh Yajnas or sacrifices to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthir, and thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices.
Yeah. So here in this verse, what is told? Simply by doing 3 sacrifices, Yudhishthir Maharaj fame went all over the 14 worlds. Whereas for Indra, 100 sacrifices are required. Why? What is the difference? Because Maharaj Yudhishthir was unalloyed devotee of Krishna, and he was doing everything under guidance of Krishna and for pleasure of Krishna. So for a devotee, even for attaining material goals of wealth, fame, prestige, he doesn't have that goal, but he gets it very easily because of his staunch devotional service. That's the whole point of Prabhupada's purport in this case. That is the prerogative of devotee of the Lord. Lord is equal to everyone, but a devotee of Lord is more glorified because he is always touched with all great. So Maharaj Yudhishthir's fame, how it spread? Because he was doing everything for Krishna. He doesn't have to do hard work of 100 sacrifices like Indra did. He just did 3. That too he didn't do for fame. He did for his seva. He became all famous. Why? Because of touch with all great. So we have to have this touch. So the sun rays are equally distributed, but still there are some places where they are always dark. This is not due to the sun, but the receptive power. Similarly, those who are cent% devotees of the Lord get full-fledged mercy of the Lord, which is always equally distributed everywhere. So that's why we have to become more and more receptive to the mercy of Lord, like sun. Here example of sun is here. Then even materially also everything will happen properly the way Lord wants, not the way you want. The way Lord wants and when Lord wants, it will happen. But we have to have faith and we have to have focus on becoming closer to cent% devotees of the Lord. then materially will be wonderful and spiritually will be wonderful, as in case of Yudhishthir Maharaj here. So there are so many, actually there are some devotees who don't have to spend so much time materially in their job, but they are well-to-do and they are able to spend more time for their devotional service as family also. Because if their focus is proper, their faith is proper, then they don't compromise things, but they adjust things properly, their duties, so that things gradually progress in devotional service under proper guidance. Yeah. Just maybe to read this verse.
Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu. After having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva, the Lord also reciprocated greetings.
Yeah. So, Pujitaha Pratipujitaha. So, what did Lord do? Lord accepted the worship of all the Brahmanas and other sages headed by Vaibhava. Why did he accept the worship? They all knew that he is Supreme Lord. But how did Lord accept their worship? Lord's thought process was, I am a Kshatriya and these are Brahmanas. And Kshatriya is supposed to be guided always by Brahmanas. So they want to worship me, I will follow their instruction by accepting the worship they have given. So Pratipujitaha. So that is Lord's reciprocation of accept their worship as their worship. Pratipujitaha. So he respected them by accepting service. So that's what Prabhupada explains in the purport. So to teach all of us the customary usages between Varnashrama, Lord purposefully observed all these social customs so that others would follow him in future. So now the other episode starts. It's already 4:30. So we'll stop here. If any one of you had any question or some thoughts you want to express, you can go ahead. Maybe 5-10 minutes we can have. And so it appears there is no discussion, so we end here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.